Welcome back to BPR on 89.7 GBH. Margery Eagan Jim Braude, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Obviously back at the library tomorrow. We're joined now in Studio 3 by Brian Nolan. He was here last year, right? You were here in 2025. Yep. Part of the local aid group NH4, as in the number, Ukraine. NH4 Ukraine. We'll give you the website a lot. And all volunteer organizations started shortly after the Russian invasion in 2022. Brian is about to head out on his 9th mission trip to the front lines. He joins us to discuss the state of humanitarian aid in the 4th year of the war. NH4 Ukraine, the number 4Ukraine.org. Brian, good to see you again.
Good to see you guys once again.
Yes, great to see you too, and thank you for what you're doing. Tell people who didn't hear you before, don't know about the group, how this happened. You've been in Ukraine for the better part of the last 4 years.
4.5 years almost.
Yeah. So how did a guy in New Hampshire wind up in the middle of this whole thing? What happened?
Oh man, it started off as a 3-week trip just to pick up people at the border. I had no connections to Ukraine.
No. Go back. You knew nothing about Ukraine. You had no connection. Nothing. The war starts. You go on a Facebook group.
Doesn't everybody do that?
Right.
No, serious, but that's important for people to know.
Okay.
And so what moved you? What was the deal?
Well, I've always enjoyed studying World War II history, and what I saw Russia doing at the beginning reminded me a whole lot of Germany invading Poland in 1939. This whole might makes right mentality, which we thought went out in the 20th century. We haven't seen a modern war like this in a long time. And I was just sickened by what I saw. I donated initially, and then I just had to go over. I've never done anything like this in my life, and I was kind of semi-retired. So, the next thing, I was in Poland about a week and a half after the war started. I rented a passenger van. At that point, people were flooding out of Kyiv still because Kyiv was under attack. So millions of people were flooding over the border. They needed transportation at the border to a refugee center. So I rented a passenger van. I couldn't find one in Poland. They were already taken. So I flew into Berlin, Germany, picked it up, drove across Poland, got busy. And from there, everything kind of organically grew.
How much of your life over the last 4 years have you spent in Ukraine?
Well, I've been living full-time in Kharkiv, up in the northeast corner, second largest city in Ukraine. I've been living there for almost 2.5 years full-time. So I come back once a year, do a lot of fundraising talks and that type of thing, and then go back.
And your goal is to raise money here, take it there where you can get things far cheaper.
Exactly.
And buy what kinds of things and give them to whom?
Yeah, so we buy wholesale aid. I have a new warehouse we just moved into last year. So we got full pallets delivered of all sorts of shelf-stable food products, cans of meat, a lot of buckwheat, which is a staple in Ukraine, very delicious. If anybody hasn't tried it at home, I would highly recommend it. Very delicious and nutritious. And that's our ad for buckwheat today.
And what do you do with it? Who are the recipients?
We have bagging parties in our warehouse with volunteers. We'll put together 200 or 300 bags of aid at a time, about 20 different items, food and hygiene. And we head down to the front lines, down near the Sloviansk-Kramatorsk area, which at this stage is the hottest part of the whole war. That's this Donbass area that Putin really wants.
Is this because of Russian drones? Is that why it's particularly hot? Or
it's just Putin's fantasy to get the Donetsk area and the Donbass area. So they're trying to get that area. We've been going there for years now, but now it's getting so dangerous because they're pouring everything into it. And the drone range is expanding. So ironically, 2 days after I left to start making my way back to the States about a month ago, we had our closest call ever. There was a Russian FPV drone, first-person view drone. These are the, smaller drones, but they have a rocket-propelled grenade charge underneath them. The kamikaze drones, they fly into vehicles and people. And we have a drone monitor, which intercepts the signal going from the drone to the Russian drone pilot. It doesn't block it, but you see what the drone pilot sees. And what you don't want to see is a clear picture, which indicates it's close by, and you don't want to see your vehicle in the center of it. And we did. And it happened to be an area where the anti-drone netting over the road had kind of fallen apart due to some wind or something. And it came in on us, and the woman I was riding with was freaking out. And
I'm
should be
freaking out, and I'm in
laughing
the studio in Brighton.
I think we'd
but
all
go
be
ahead.
pretty
No,
freaked
finish.
out.
I'm sorry.
Someday
finish.
this will be funny. I always
what
tell
happened?
myself. So the drone veered off. It went after the vehicle in front of us. It was a bigger truck than ours, and something happened. We thought it hit it because we saw that truck disappear into the screen, which means there was an impact. And we turned the corner. I couldn't see the truck. It was right on the corner. And we saw a big cloud of black smoke go up. And we thought, geez, we're going to see body parts in the road or something. Somehow it missed it. It might have gotten snagged on some residual drone netting or something. I don't know how it missed it. But so nowadays we're having to constantly reassess where we go because the range of the drones just keeps getting, on both sides, gets further.
This is, by the way, this is the voice of Brian Nolan. His organization is NH4, the number 4, nh4ukraine.org for more information and to make contributions.
In that section of the Donbass, a significant number of people still there?
Yeah. There's what they call the Donbass Fortress Belt. There's 4 cities chained, like a chain of 4 cities on one road. And it's Konstantivka, Drushkivka, Kramatorsk, and Slovyansk. And they're heavily fortified, but the people there's a slow trickle of people leaving. Those cities were about 70,000, 60,000 pre-war. So it's probably down to 30,000 people now. There's still a lot of people there, but they've been hammering at the Russians with these glide bombs, these enormous bombs that they drop, and they're silent. They don't have an engine. They drop them from 50,000 feet, the Russian jets, and wings pop out. It has a cruise guidance system, and they drop them down on the cities, just indiscriminately hitting targets. They go up to about 4,000 pounds. It's an enormous bomb. We've seen a couple aftermaths right after they.
Brian,
they
has the spirit? I mean, one of the things was most impressive when the American media was actually paying attention to what was happening in Ukraine, which we, for the most part, don't anymore. Which
Yes.
I can't imagine how horrible that must feel. The spirit was the most memorable thing, the courage of normal, everyday people.
Sure.
Is that changing as time goes along and
I
as
think by
America is not as trustworthy an ally?
Yeah, I think they have a lot of doubts about us for obvious reasons. But I think they've just gotten so accustomed to this war. Everything is a routine. The air raid alerts, when they go off in Kharkiv, the large city I live in, people just ignore it. They continue dining outdoors or whatever. It's surprisingly normal in Kharkiv. It's about 1.5 million population. You know, you can still go out for Vietnamese, Mexican, go to an Irish bar, and business is down. But it's not, it's funny, when volunteers come over from the States, they'll come work with me for a month and they got to get back to the real life. And a lot of people say, I thought it was going to look like Berlin, Germany in 1945. But it's really nothing like that in Kharkiv. It's such a massive city. You can see devastated buildings, but it's just such a huge city. And that gives me some comfort being there because statistically, the odds of you getting impacted are really, really slim because of the sheer size of the city. So I don't worry too much when I'm in the city. It's when we go down to the front nowadays.
You know, we just heard, the president was over in NATO and he was speaking with Zelensky and he wasn't hostile to Zelensky this time. He was talking about helping out, that they should be allowed in Ukraine to build these missiles, the defensive missiles, although that will take a long time. But it did seem a little better. He wasn't slobbering over
and
Putin
tomorrow
like
when he talks to Putin, he'll be right
Yeah.
back to where he was.
So
And it's
there's
the
not-
last guy in the room syndrome,
Yeah.
right? Trump's been like that, during his first term also. That was like, I just looked at that as a cheap PR stunt because it takes about 1 year to build a Patriot missile because there's so many components and they don't have the factories for it yet. You got to build the factory. It'll be 2 years before they're building Patriots.
What
That
did you
doesn't
do
help
before
them
you
now.
were semi-retired?
I sold my business. I had a contracting business, commercial contracting. And when the war started, COVID was just barely fading away. So I took COVID off, did a lot of volunteer work locally. And then, so I was in a good position to get involved over there.
What we do on the show is we make fun of New Hampshire for the most part. That's one of
New
our
Hampshire?
primary things.
Yeah.
And but what's in the water? Well, other people do. Common Man for Ukraine,
sure.
New Hampshire based. We've had them here a bunch of times. In all seriousness, what's the deal?
It's that clear mountain water
And
keeps
by the
our heads clear.
and they are, and also similar situation, just doing whatever the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
One was in the forestry. One owns these rest stops.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah.
what's the deal?
I wish I could answer that. I don't know. Maybe instead of fluoride, they put empathy in the water.
What do the real people do? I mean, I assume the most important thing is they go to the website, nh4ukraine.org, and contribute whatever they can.
Sure. Yeah,
What else
yeah.
can they do?
They can educate themselves on the history of Ukraine. One thing, I've done a lot of presentations since I've been back, and there's something called the Holodomor, which you guys may be familiar with. That is basically Ukraine's version of the Holocaust that happened in the 1930s. Ukraine has always been independence-minded. Stalin didn't take kindly to that, and despite Ukraine being the breadbasket of Europe and Northern Africa and the Middle East, he starved to death between 3 and 5 million Ukrainians because they were rebelling against him, stole their grain, sold it off. And this has been going on for 100 years. This did not start in 2014 or 2022. So I would recommend people read up on the history and why Ukrainians are so suspect of Russia. And get a good news source. Turn off Tucker Carlson. Have you guys familiar with Laura Loomer? I assume?
Oh, gosh,
Have you
yes.
seen her about face? She did a mea
No.
culpa. She's been strongly anti-Ukraine for years now. She did a mea culpa. It shocked the hell out of me. It was about 5-6 weeks ago.
She's the conspiracy nut
Yeah.
who's very close to
Right.
Trump, for those
As
who don't
Trump's
know. I'm
ear,
sorry.
and a big following. She came out and admitted that she got duped by Russian propaganda.
Really?
Really? I should have known that.
People
I
in
did
the
not.
Ukraine supporting community were gobsmacked by it. And she said, yeah, I got taken, and I am wholeheartedly with Ukraine. And then on July 4th, Zelensky wished America well, and they lit up the Motherland statue, kind of like their version of the Statue of Liberty in Kyiv, with red, white, and blue to as a tribute for her 250th birthday. And she even highlighted that. She said, well, look at Ukraine backing us. We haven't heard from Vladimir Putin yet. Go Ukraine. So there's hope yet, apparently, among the brain.
Well, my motto has always been, Brian, wherever Laura Loomer goes is where I go. That's the way I've lived my life, and I'm going to keep doing
Life
it.
is so much simpler, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
You're
And congratulations
amazing.
for
All
all
of you.
Yeah, it was great
for
to see
all
you guys
your work.
again.
Again, it's nh4ukraine.org, and the NH, of course, stands for New Hampshire. nh4ukraine.org. We've been speaking with Brian Nolan. Thank you so
Give
much.
whatever
for
you
coming
can. If you only have a few bucks because you don't have a lot, give whatever you can. You'll feel better. It'll help his work. Do what you can. Brian,
It
I hope
goes
to
a
see you
long
soon.
way.
When are you going back?
Going back Tuesday, this coming Tuesday.
We'll hope we'll see you again soon.
Yep.
Stay in
Great.
touch.
Thank
We
you
will.
very
Thank you
much
guys.
for
Thanks,
coming
Mark.
in.
Greatly appreciate it.
Coming up after a quick break, another classic BPR, Awkward Tradition, but Brian won't mind. It's Thursday. We'll open the lines. This is our Am I the A-Hole Day. We're going to get your thoughts on an age-old issue. What do you do about a friend or significant other who insists they don't want their own order of French fries and then eats half of yours? I'm Margery Eagan. He's Jim Braude. Listening to BPR 89.7 GBH. Streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. 877-301-8970 is the number.